听听这。
Shanghai, a train ride, a box of rice, a window seat. As the high-speed train cut through the countryside, I looked outside and let my mind wander. What kind of car would it be this time? Who once sat behind that wheel? What stories does it hold beneath the dust? We were heading to see a car, not just any car, but a piece of the 1950s. The owner said it was once the official ride of Shanghai's very first mayor, a Soviet-era GAZ sedan, nicknamed ZIM in Chinese, sitting quietly somewhere, waiting for one more chance to breathe. By the time I arrived, I was starving, didn't even have time for breakfast. But once I laid eyes on the car, hunger was the last thing on my mind. There it was, weathered, worn, but proud. The copper emblem still hung on the grille, aged but dignified. Some chrome trim had flaked. The years hadn't been kind, and the craftsmanship of old repairs, not great. But that didn't matter. It was all there. The soul of the car, intact. I ran my fingers along the body, pure brass lines, still strong, still refusing to give up, too. Inside, the steering wheel, gauges, and glass lenses told stories of another time. Even the seat cushions had been redone. Not original, but stitched with care. The roof liner was sagging, and the engine, well, let's just say she'd seen better days. But the heart was still there, still hers. "Can I take her home?" I asked. The old man smiled and said, "If you found her, you must be the one meant to care for her. Take good care." And so I did. I'm back home now. She's in my garage. An old friend from a different era. She smells of oil and dust, of brass and leather, of history. The kind of car that doesn't just take you places, it takes you back in time. Sometimes I sit beside her with a cup of coffee and just look. Other times I wipe the grime away and feel like I'm restoring something more than a machine. Maybe a memory, maybe a part of myself. She doesn't need to be perfect. She just needs to be loved. Because saving an old car isn't just about fixing it. It's about listening to its silence and giving it a voice again. Let's get to work. There's a special kind of thrill when you pop open the hood of a car that hasn't run in years. Not just any car, an old soul, tucked away, forgotten, rusty, dusty, stubborn, and waiting. You don't fix a car like this just with tools. You fix it with patience, love, and a bit of old-school grit. You talk to it, you listen to its silence, and when the time is right, you give it a second chance. The spark plugs? Sure, they were covered in rust and carbon, but there's something oddly satisfying about pulling them out, knowing you're about to wake up something that's been asleep for decades. I could have saved the money, but then again, what's sweeter than watching your old car breathe again? Okay, maybe buying candy for my wife is sweeter. Maybe. I didn't go fancy, just what was needed. A little oil, a little care, and a lot of hope. Every time I do this, I'm reminded these aren't just cars, they're survivors. They've seen more than we'll ever know. And as I slid in that new key, turned the ignition, and heard nothing, I smiled. Because this is part of the dance. Sometimes she talks back, sometimes she stays quiet. But when she roars again, it's like watching an old friend take a deep breath. Sure, the wiring needed love. The fuel lines were begging for a bath. The gas? Let's not even talk about the gas. That stuff was ancient history. But piece by piece, cleaned and cared for, tightened and tested, it all starts to come together. And when it does, oh man, that first crank, that first rumble, it never gets old. You sit there, grease on your hands, heart racing like a kid on Christmas morning. This is why we do it. Not for the horsepower, not for the looks, but for the story. Because when you bring an old engine back to life, you're not just fixing a machine. You're preserving a moment in time. You're keeping history alive, one crank at a time. The engine roared to life, not perfectly. It coughed, sputtered, a little smoky, but it moved. And that meant everything. I had a feeling the carburetor was the culprit. Maybe tomorrow I'll swap in a fresh one. But for tonight, I'll let the old soul rest. Hey everyone, it's Tian Ying here. Today we continue the journey with our GAZ Z from the 1950s. One full day. Let's see if we can bring it back to life. No overthinking, just roll up the sleeves, breathe deep, and get lost in the magic of restoration. There's something about cars like this. They don't just sit in your garage, they sit in your heart. Every click of a tool, every wipe of grease, it's like learning their language. They don't shout, they whisper. Sure, it wasn't firing on all cylinders. Sure, there was a bit of smoke. But that didn't matter. What mattered was the journey, the process, the bond. There were little issues, things that come with age. A tired fuel pump, a worn distributor cap, old parts whispering their final goodbyes. Some folks left comments saying I should just replace the whole thing. But sometimes it's not about replacing. It's about restoring. It's about saying, you're worth saving. I tried fixing it myself, not because it's cheaper, but because it feels right. The kind of right you feel in your bones. Old fuel lines, sticky air paths, vacuum leaks. They all tell a story. But today, everything clicked. Literally. With every part cleaned, refitted, and tightened, you could feel the soul waking up. The sun was shining, my hands were greasy, and my heart was full. I went ahead and replaced a few key parts, a small sacrifice for the chance to see her alive again. When she fired up, it was like music. Rough, raw, real, but full of life. Next step, a full spa day. Oil change, transmission fluid, coolant. Decades of gunk poured out, black as night, but somehow beautiful. We even gave her something she hadn't worn in decades. A license plate, brand new from Shanghai. It looked perfect on her, like a Medal of Honor. And just like that, a forgotten car from the 1950s stood tall again under the city lights. We rolled her out for a wash. You wouldn't believe how much dirt she had on her, but even beneath the grime, she shined. She always did. But if you've made it this far, you're probably one of us. A lover of old cars, a believer in second chances. If so, hit that From layers of dust to the roar of the engine, the GAZ lives again. Subscribe to Satisfying Car Detailing for more legendary restorations like this one.